Yes, it's that time again. You know what time. Time for another chill art stream. That's right, friends. Just did a bunch of shorts, YouTube shorts, trying to utilize the marketing technology here and da 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 da. So we'll see how that goes. The shorts are very cool though, like the filters and the music and stuff. It gives my artwork a whole new context, which is very cool. It makes it more cinematic, which is a lot of fun. I also discovered that the phone can do a horizontal position for the show. So right now, I just want to focus on working, but in the future, I'm going to kind of figure that out so that we can kind of have more of a nice horizontal look to this. And away we go. We got a little bit of synth wave in the background here. I'm kind of in the mood to move on to the second issue. A lot of, I don't know, it's just like lots of little jobs that have to be done on the last issue, and my head is like way ahead. Like I don't know, but no pun intended. But I'm, I completed the entire story, so here I am grinding through the pages, and I don't know. I'm just in the mood to kind of move on a bit, so I'm gonna do that. Focus on that a bit. Because these stories, they live inside you, and there's such a great feeling. I don't know, it's really hard to explain. I suppose, like, authors would understand this kind of thing. In a way, you kind of live inside your stories. It's just a very interesting experience. So let me just kind of make sure we're all centered here and whatever. Maybe I'll back out a hair just a bit. You can see more. So, excuse me. It's funny. I never have to like cough or anything or I have a grouchy throat until I get on the show, and then it's like. Anyway, so I took a lot of time off, and I'm getting back into this, so I always have to use references to make sure that the anatomy on the faces are correct, and it's a little tedious. Excuse me. So I'm just kind of looking through old pages and kind of trying to find like a nice. I really should have a model sheet for this character where the faces, his face or all of their faces are kind of seen from different angles. And that way I can just kind of jump in on it. I pretty much know what it's supposed to look like. I just want to be sure, I guess. Well, alright, here we go. Hope you guys are well. Been doing a lot of shows lately. Monday, I have 3 shows in one day. Crazy. So, what is it? At 1 o'clock, I'm going to be interviewing. There comes the commercial again. I'm going to be interviewing a musician from Denmark who's in the White Art Collective. His music is based on traditional classical European music, but he uses synthesizers and various technology, etc. I would say that his compositions are very cinematic. That there's enough commercials, please. Let's get to the music. Anyway, we're going to hit that in 10 seconds here and not have any more commercials to bother me. Thank you. That's why I selected this particular music, was to not have commercials, but they sneak it in there. So, excuse me, his name is Hollandier, and great dude. He's been associated with the White Art Collective for quite a while. He's done some collaborations with other musicians in our sphere. I feel very much like I should collaborate with him, do some vocals on some of his tracks. I don't have the proper equipment for that, which is why I don't do those kinds of things so often. A long time ago, Jurius reached out to me about doing collaboration. Honestly, I'm not sure if I reached out to him or he reached out to me. It's been a while, but he liked the idea. So I don't know. It's like things like that I could, if I did that, I'd probably get, I don't know, another 500 subscribers or something like that. When you are a working artist, there's always the kind of the like wearing many hats situation where you're trying to produce your work, you're trying to market your work. Good afternoon, Vardabach. Good to see you. Look forward to the trio tomorrow. The trio, yes. It's gonna be a kind of a marathon. I've done 2 shows in a day, but 3 shows. So I will have to have some kind of not cough drops, but like something to keep the throat, cruising along. It's not so bad. It's not. I don't think that there's going to be any big whoop about it. To me, I'm always just concerned with the shows being high quality. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I want to make shows that are of value and enrich people's lives, give them information that maybe they didn't know, or you get the general idea. So and obviously the arts is that's my field. I think an interesting thought would be how to maybe, I don't know, get more people interested in the arts in our sphere. We've interacted with pretty much all the main influencers in the white identity movement, and we have had a tremendous amount of support. So it's not like I'm saying that we don't. Honestly, I'm actually more interested in reaching out to people outside of our sphere and showing them what we do, But then there's another side of this where it's not just about the theme of white identity in the arts, but about the art itself. Everybody has different tastes. So, I don't know, I look at, say, like Luke Mason does this kind of epic heavy metal kind of stuff, and then other people are doing classical style musics and folk, neo folk, all this kind of. So there's just a lot going on in terms of that. Anyway, you get the idea. This whole top section here is going to be covered with a word balloon, so it's always like, why should I put all that effort into inking it? But oh well. And not only that, like a half inch of the page will be cut off when it goes to print. So if you can imagine a word balloon is. Anyway, you just sort of try to give the page a sense of completion, even though that'll be blocked out later. I really feel that I'm going to want to sell these pages to help fund the coloring of the book, of digital coloring of the comic. Normally there's teams of people that do this kind of work. You know, writer, penciler, inker, colorist, letterer. And I do it all myself, you know, so no wonder everything goes so slow. um, Once again, that whole edge will get cut off when the printing comes, when it comes time to go to print. I gotta say, I'm digging the Fash Wave, or not the Fash Wave, the Synth Wave as background music for working. There's, especially with kind of the themes that I'm dealing with, it just seems fitting. It adds like a kind of a soundtrack to the art studio, and I don't know, it feels good. Feels good, man. So, let's see. Hey, Franklin's here. Budgie Burger. It's been a while, Budgie Burger and Franklin. Good to see you both. How you guys doing? What's shaking? How are you navigating the being on the precipice of World War III? And here comes a commercial. Maybe I'll do a commercial of my own. I'll be like, hey, buy my book. It'll change your life. Anyway, I do want you to buy my book, but I just don't do the hard sell stuff, you know what I mean? I feel like get to know me, get to know my world, get involved in my art, my culture, and then if the spirit moves you, then you can buy my book. And I've had several people in our sphere buy the book, and we're very, very happy with it. There's also the idea of maybe doing some kind of promotional stuff where possibly I could give away signed copies, something like that. There's some poetry in here. Of course, my artwork, my fine art. Da, da, da. And there's even some comics in there. So I want to share a thought about like the way things are going. Excuse me. I talked about this a little bit on the last stream, but I just see more and more information that leads me to feel that we are winning in terms of, you know, exposing the powers that be. You know, it's funny, I saw something today on Twitter about how Israel is setting up the narrative to essentially obliterate Gaza and everyone in it. And I was watching a bit of Keith Woods talking about that and explaining how, like, I don't know, something like 50% of the people in Gaza are women and children. And Keith Woods is always, a good source to go to as far as, solid data and intelligent takes on whatever's going on. I think I would say he's one of the leading voices in our sphere. Um, he was on, oh jeez, I can't remember the guy's name right now. Schaffenberg, something. He was on some talk show, well, not a talk show, but like, one of these pretty high-end conservative podcasts. Okay. And the dude who runs the podcast, he's kind of an, I'm not gonna say he's like unintelligent, or I'm not insulting him or anything. He's just not, he's just starting to get J-pilled and white-pilled, if you will, in terms of white identity and all. I would say just starting. He's been on the path, and it's been really, really interesting watching these kind of influencers figure it out, and how they're going through the stuff that we went through, a couple of years ago, or however long it was that, whenever it was that you left the anti-white matrix. And you can see the patterns. You can see how, like, oh, he's questioning this. He's starting to notice patterns. He's, and it's all because guys like us are out there interacting with him on his Twitter page and showing data and saying this and that and challenging, narratives and all that stuff. So, and he's finally coming around to being like, you know what, you guys are right. And but you can still sense a kind of a shock in his system, and I get it. I get it. I think it's wonderful to see. So he continues posing like pretty good questions that get sort of public opinion on the polls and things of that nature, but also figuring out what's actually going on. And then he'll have guests on who counteract that, and there was some kind of, anyway, he had Keith Woods on, and Keith Woods was on and sort of debating, if you could call it, with some other guy who was essentially trying to protect the Israeli narrative. And this guy just started wielding insults at Keith Woods. Dude, this one thing you don't do. You don't throw insults at Keith Woods when you're in a so-called debate. Because it's always, you're just admitting you lost. You're acting infantile, And so it's, Keith just patiently, he's the adult in the room, just patiently kind of waits for the guy to finish saying what he has to say, and then using the other guy's points, he dismantles them one by one, with just a certain kind of questioning logic that says, like, if A equals B, then why does C equal D? I'd have to have the video to show you like what he said. But just undefeatable, undefeatable, and that's like kind of like internet gold kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So it's kind of funny. But the thing I'm kind of getting at here, though, is that I have to think through the anatomy here. That excuse me, that people are still struggling to, mm, I don't know, protect the old paradigm, and it's all falling apart though. Anyway, it'd be very interesting to see, you know, how it falls apart. You know, the people that are in the business of uh, controlled opposition, they are on like high alert. They are on 10 right now. You know, they're, of course, what's his face, Ben Shapiro. He is in maximum squeal mode right now. You know, but I mean, and I don't know if it's just me or this is like a echo chamber kind of thing to say, but it appears to me that he's just exposing himself. That, like, you know, this whole, like, you know, Jewish lives are more valuable than white lives or any other kind of lives for that matter, or that if America doesn't go to war for Israel, then we're going to use nukes, and that, you know, Palestinians must be fully genocided. I mean, how can you not see the, you know, the madness and hypocrisy of him, the points he's making? And he's in, like, he's just panicking, and when, I don't know, you get the general idea. So these things are concerning, you know, in their own way. Oh, time for another commercial. You know, I played the same music an hour ago. No commercials at all. What the hell is that, you know? So I don't, it's like YouTube's listening to me or something. Maybe I got a full album of retro wave. Alright. Hopefully that'll work. Come on, hit me up. There we are. Let me check the chat for a second. My channel's here. Heck, I just realized you were live. Yes, sir. So I was looking at the analytics on my YouTube. I'm trying to kind of get into the business of YouTube a bit more, figure it out, all that. And I noticed, I'm doing more shows, and the numbers are going up. But I'll have, like, you know, I don't know, maybe over the course of a show, because people don't stay for a whole show, they got things to do or whatever. But I'll maybe have like 15 people that show up, and then, you know, I'll get, I don't know, maybe likes or something. And then I check the analytics, and I have like 170 people watch the show. Or at some time. I'm not saying like they watched it from beginning to end, but like 170 impressions, I guess. And so what's happening, or what that seems to indicate, is that there's a lot more people watching this show. They're just not engaging. And I wonder who those people are. You know, I'm like, why don't you come out of the shadows and say hi, you know? I'm not sort of saying like there's any, I mean, you figure there's probably always some kind of, like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? People that are against us, people, you know, that could be just watching the show a bit, just to make sure that I'm not, you know, actually effective in any way, or changing anything effectively. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really paranoid or whatever, but this exists, so, you know, it is a thing. It is out there. I don't know. Why can't we all just get along? Why can't we be friends? As the song goes. Anyway. Da da da. So, let's see. We're gonna do a little black background on here. Once again, I'm kind of trying to center that for you. Hey, who we got here? A Sacradiver. Uh, I'm sorry, I'm not saying your name correctly. But happy to have you here. I can smell the video. Wow. I hope it smells like roses. D2 is here. Good to have you. And there we go. So one thing about inking and comics is the use of blacks or shadows, I suppose, and it's kind of a big part of the art of comics. Spot blacks is what they call them sometimes. They're just sort of heavy, dark areas. Like, why have this dark area in there? It helps to frame him. These heavy, dark areas, they're not just for drama, but they kind of draw the eye in, if you will. So a lot of artists use them very, very creatively. I, of course, try to be creative with it, but I also, I lean more on like the realism side. So I'm like, well, there wouldn't be a shadow there because there's no light source over here or something. I tend to be, I think, a little more like that. But maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should be more creative with it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Oh, dude. I think I'm gonna switch over to Baroque guitar because I know I can trust that. I think. So give me a second here, guys. Okay. Or we could do the jazz again. What do you guys feel like? Baroque guitar or jazz? I have that like cozy jazz that I've been playing. It's pretty nice. So that's buffering or whatever. I should kick in a second here. But what's going on here? Hey, Imperial Crusaders here. Crusader, I thought you were from England for some reason. I don't know. Hello, Assad. Welcome to the club. We're just doing a little bit of music and art. I'd be interested to know about how you guys found my channel. How you found me. Whenceforth do you know me from? So I was also thinking perhaps I could do the entire show with an English accent. And I would probably lose a lot of subscribers that way. I said, oh God, don't do that. It's driving me mad. I do like to have a bit of fun with it though. This is a little more low-class English accent. I don't know if they'd appreciate me saying that, but I believe that's correct. I should have been a voice actor. That could have been it. Or if you really like, I could do like a southern accent for a while there and talk about fishing and hunting and all alike and working on the farm. Anyway, so how's your Sunday going, guys? What's shaking? You must be chilling if you're watching this. Chilling like a villain? So that's kind of a dumb expression. I don't know. So you see how when there's a black background, the face just boom, it pops right out. It gives it contrast. You're only working with white and black on the paper, so you have to kind of stretch it as much as you can in terms of texture, tone. Give it something visual. Give the eye some candy, I guess, if you will, if that's the right way to put it. Check the chat real fast here. Please get upright. Hold on, hold on. I gotta back up here. Asan says, hi, nice drawing. Thank you, sir. By the way, identify as a toilet. Okay. All right. I'll be careful not to flush, though. Asan says, please get it. Oh, okay. We're going to have to be very careful of your toilet pronouns. Just for fun is here. I was told I engaged too much a couple times, so I try not to. It becomes a real practice in discipline. I'm sure that's the word to use when something emotional, interesting comes up. So, engage in what, though? I need to know the context. This sounds like an interesting conversation. Excellent accents, Donald Shire. Donald Shire, I love it. Come along with me to the wonderful land of Donald Shire. And as I say, there's this sort of like, by the way, I went to Oxford, just so you know. There's that kind of like British accent. And then I have to say, I really more prefer the sort of working class accent. It's quite fun, that. But I don't know in what context I could use it, really. Is it useful? I don't know. What do you think? I suppose if I were Michael Caine, I could, do it quite a lot. So, listen here, Bruce Wayne. You think you're Batman and all, but you need to lighten up a bit, right? It's like the Joker says, why so serious? I watch too many movies is what that means. That's what it boils down to. If you're able to do these accents so well, then there you go. I feel like it's a crazy thing is like there's gonna be a lot of word balloons on here, so I think I can kind of feel like this is finished. Is the music too loud or annoying? Do you guys want me to do some jazz? What's just trying to make it a little more enjoyable for you. So we're gonna swing over here. What I'm really excited about doing, frankly, and I kind of can't really wait anymore, is I want to get into the new characters, the Fash Force, as they're called. So when like the name Fash Force is something that like the media dubbed them, as a sort of an insult because they left MAGA Force, and it's all part of the story. I'm kind of jumping ahead a bit, but I want to get into these cool characters. They're pretty neat. This is one of the characters in Fash Force, Southern Rebel character, which I think is neat. I don't know that there's anything like that, or I don't know if you guys are in comics and you might know. I think it's pretty fun. And let's see what else. Just kind of showing you some of the designs. This guy's Sheepdog. He dies in the story. He's actually murdered by the new MAGA force in a it's a pretty ugly situation. We'll get to that. This is this character is called Jordmore, and that is Danish for Earth Mother, and she's definitely a kind of pagan character, has power over the elements and such, and and I looked up like this symbol here is considered like a hate symbol by the ADL. It's like, okay, any indigenous European symbols are hate symbols automatically because you remember you were born guilty. Okay, you can't wash it off. This is a character called Red Jade, who is in the new MAGA force. She's like a communist infiltrator. Um, that's that. This is anyway. I don't want to get too far into it. I just kind of let the story evolve and let you guys get to know. I actually like this character, the Rioteer. He's a African American dude who can duplicate. So like the Rioteer, so he becomes a riot. Not like a joke riot, but like an actual group of people that can. But he's on MAGA force, so he gets paid to suppress riots. He's more like you know whatever those police that have the riot gear and all that. Um, that is an interesting character. Anyway, and there's our man, Militia Man. So yada yada. Let's kind of get back to work here. Check the chat real fast. See what fascinating things you guys are saying, just for fun. Yo, in chat or leaving a reply. I mean, I'm replying to you mention of who's checking out your channel. Thank you, sir. Imperial Crusader. I'm not pagan, but it's said that European symbols are misunderstood by organizations like ADL. Well, I don't. I would say that they don't misunderstand them, but rather that they demonize them. They change the definition of them to make any expression of white identity evil. That they're trying to stop whites from organizing racially. That's what it's about. So now, granted, I would say that there's a lot of these kind of sort of neo-Nazi LARPers that have kind of brought a. They use these symbols, and I mean, this is getting into some tricky territory, but basically, they're fighting against this kind of thing. I don't know how to say it. I mean, imagine if the ADL tomorrow came out and said that the Christian cross is a hate symbol. I mean, they would love to do that. They would love to do that, to demonize Christianity, which I believe a lot of Jews think like that. Of course, the Talmud teaches all kinds of, horrible things about Christianity. For example, they believe Jesus is boiling in excrement in hell eternally. How charming. It's very imaginative. But, there's authentic pagans. I'm not a pagan either. I want to learn more about it. I'm sympathetic to it, but it's just not, I don't have the education, to really speak intelligently on it. But I do, anyway, I'm changing topics all over the place here. See, that's what happens when you do that. You lose where you're going with it. But, so, that's the point. Imagine if the ADL said that the Christian cross is a hate symbol, it's a symbol of white supremacy, and, it should be outlawed, and da-da-da-da-da. So, that's essentially what they're doing with these pagan symbols. Changing the meaning and narrative of them, and for political purposes. So that's why I'm kind of for them. I've done a good bit of research on the swastika, for example. It's quite amazing if you do actually research the swastika. It's appeared in cultures pretty much all over the earth throughout human history. And they're in, of course, slightly different forms and such. But there's something about it. I'm sure that, I could do like a whole show on that topic. It's a pretty profound topic. But ultimately what I always say is that, they don't get to define our symbols. They don't get to define our symbols. And that's that. That's the end of it. There's no discussion. There's no debate about those things. I mean, if we created the white version of the ADL and then said the Star of David is a symbol of Jewish supremacy and, blah, 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 all that stuff, then imagine the outrage. And even the Star of David, which I wouldn't call it the Star of David because it is, I know that Jews call it the Star of David, but the symbol itself is more mathematical and more, I don't know how to say it, it's kind of rooted in math, like there's all kinds of shapes that exist, right? And from my research, what I'm discovering is that it essentially represents what's called the Merkaba, and that would be a 3D Star of David, which is essentially two pyramids, and but one upside down, one right side up, but in a 3D form. And so if you study meditation, esoteric forms of meditation, the visualization of the Merkaba around your body is a very, very, very powerful kind of qigong. It's a very powerful electromagnetic field. So, but then there's some interesting connections to Saturn, and how Saturn has this very strange six-pointed shape on the top of it that is like, what? Oh, there's my famous commercial coming in. But I don't know. I mean, I would wager you guys have some knowledge about those things as well. A lot of us sort of do, just from the various studies we've done over the years and various sources of information that we have access to. When you're around people who share the same values and have the same politics, you're going to learn from each other, and it's a great value. But then there's those who pretend to be us, and they come out with all kinds of information that's actually not totally true, and is more meant to gatekeep us away from our truths. That's dangerous. So I'm kind of on the fence about, say, Robert Seffer. At the moment, I like him. I support him. I don't have anything bad to say. I know that there's certain arguments about his ethnic background, but I'm not 100% convinced of that yet. But you figure, like, let's say if someone were to come along and, produce lots and lots of detailed content on things that the white identity movement care about, and have, like, historic anthropological data to back up various beliefs or understandings, facts, then you automatically think, oh, that's our guy, he's on our side. How infiltration gatekeeping works is when you pretend to be one of us, but you actually mix like half-truths in, or you omit information. Now, like I said, I'm not convinced that he's doing that, but I have been comparing at least one book that I bought from him with another on topics that are of interest to us, specifically Vril energy and all that good stuff. So I think you're gonna have to kind of leave it there. It's too complex to really have like a very deep conversation about it. And I'm trying to focus on drawing, so it's always hard to, like, I don't know, conversations like that. You gotta have data like available. And I'm not really into doing shows like that anymore. And there's a lot of people doing good shows of that nature. So let's get back to the chat. Crusader says, that's what I meant to say. Couldn't think of the word. Okay. Carlotta. I can't pronounce the name, but let's just say Carl. Good, or Carlotta. Good to have you here. Welcome. I'm so happy to have new viewers, new friends, new people in the community. Very, very happy. By the way, guys, I did a bunch of very cool shorts. They're the YouTube shorts. So sometime go check out that part of the YouTube channel. Very fun stuff. I'd love to hear your take on that. Just music, filters, cool stuff. Crusader says Star of David is actually the star of Remphan, who was a Canaanite figure. So there you go. We're getting into some deeper territory. My channel says he's insecure and won't say what needs to be said. Yeah, I'm familiar with various things, like people who challenge him on Twitter and then he blocks them, and then those same people will say, hey, I asked Zephyr about X and he blocked me. So like that doesn't, that doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I'm not, again, I'm not trying to throw shade on him. I guess we'll find out one day. Who knows. But this is what it is for white people, is like living in a matrix of falsified information, omitted information. Like it says, like, look at all the time and effort they have put into mangling our history, hiding our history, demonizing our history. It's that alone is like an enormous testament to our cause. I think another thing I'm sort of interested in is, I guess, how normie whites perceive us and the cause. That I would, I think we're all somewhat aware that, like, they probably feel like it's uncomfortable, for starters. It's an uncomfortable thing to talk about. They're discouraged from talking about race openly, or if they do, it has to be negative. I would go so far as to say that probably, some people think we're weird, Those kind of people are total cowards, though, and we certainly don't, look to them for advice or inspiration. Anyway. See, let's little thing here. Even the windows in this guy's house, that is the it's a form of it's like a white power symbol, basically. And another thing that you'll see at the ADL site, This is another funny meme that I have. It's the Power Rangers, and it's like 4 panels, and one, there's like the blue guy, the red guy, the green guy, and the white guy, and the blue guy's like, blue power. The red guy's red power. Green guy's green power. The white guy says, well, hello. Well, hello. This just cracks me up. Well, hello. So, I think that memes would be like, we should like take good memes like that and make stickers out of them, and then, like, I don't know, put them around places, put them out in public, and because there's something about the humor in them that gets across our ideas very well. You know what I mean? And I think if you're just getting people to question things, that's a good start. Sometimes when you hit people over the head with some kind of, the Jews are trying to kill us, like that's like, wow. Most people, I think, are mentally, emotionally going to reject that. But if you phrase something in like a question, and I don't even like saying the Jews, to be honest, because it's just so broad, and kind of arguable. Um, yeah, that's a mess to get into that. But anyway, I guess the thing that I've kind of come to believe is that sort of the problem with whites is how uh, we conform. We're conformists, and that isn't a bad thing if we're conforming to a high trust society where everybody shares common interests. The thing is that society was taken from us. It was destroyed with diversity, and but our programming hasn't stopped. You see what I'm saying? So you see the problem with that, right? Um, and that's it right there. I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. What are your thoughts? I know that would be nice to know. That's part of what's cool about this show is having some good conversation with you guys. My channel says that's why he has no children, no woman. Women are turned off by insecurity for sure. Yeah, it's pretty, personal and deep topic, but the whole that's a thing. I that that's it. Let's suffice to say that it's not easy to find, your match, especially in today's world. But it's the whole thing about women being turned off to insecurity, that and desperation. I'd say women have like a special spider sense for that. Like they're really, really tuned in to that kind of thing. That's a whole other topic of like, all that stuff. Vardabach says pagan, in quotes, doesn't need to be your, quote, religion, but it's vital to your history and heritage. Absolutely true. Very strongly agree. And there's a great deal of continuity between pre-Christian and later. I'm specifically interested in how, in Ireland, how those things kind of came together. It's not something I'm knowledgeable much about. I watched a documentary on it, but I do find that interesting. Vardabach says, yes, the shorts you made are awesome. Well, thank you, sir. That makes me feel good. They are cool, but it's mainly because of the technology, right? Like these really wicked filters. Um, that I try to make them like tiny movies. I'll have some of my artwork, and let's say the artwork has. Actually, I'll give you an example. So, like I used this artwork in one of the shorts, and I close up on his face, and I kind of back out, and then I go into her face, and I use there's some kind of gritty filter that just makes it cool. Just gives it some kind of motion blur a little bit or something. And then I put O Fortuna, which is that song from the what's that musical called? Carmen? Not musical, opera. Anyway, it's everybody knows O Fortuna. It's a very, very powerful, epic song, and it just brings this piece to life. It's super cool. So I still have yet to kind of look into like how to use shorts in a way that helps to market. But last night or the other night, one of my viewers was saying, I saw one of your shorts kind of pop up in, I don't know, in my stream or in my media or somehow or other. And then this viewer jumped on. It was pretty cool. The thing with architecture and the like is you generally you don't want to freehand it so much if you can. Sometimes you can't, but you generally want to use as much of these kind of tools as you can. House is kind of my fantasy cabin home. And again, like there's gonna be word balloons and stuff over there, but it just helps. Um, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, or any kind of topics you'd like to jam on. Other than commercials. Da 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 da, another day of commercials in your life to sell you things you don't need or care about. Thank you. Maybe I could do some kind of like, a song jam mashup every time a commercial comes on. You're like, the Donald Kent channel, it's so cool. Oh my god. So, there you know, and there you go. Let's check the chat super fast here. What are you guys talking about? Howdy! Monaghan boys here. It's been a while. How you been? I'm glad to have you back. Let's see. Andre, Ryu. Oh, okay. There you go. Oh, Fortuna. Carmen Burana. Yes. Carl Orff. What's up here? My channel says he's got published books but wants a Playboy lifestyle in Southern California. He doesn't. Yeah, we had this conversation now, I remember. Yeah, have a woman due to insecurity, pick up on that. You don't leave your M&P without, your mom and pop without grandchildren. I strongly agree with you. I'm just saying that like it's not the easiest thing to find the right one or a good wife or something of that nature, but I'll leave it at that. Okay, my channel says, and that's why our people initially think he's got something, but then got turned off when he cucks out. He serves their purpose. So there you go. This is the debate. This is the discussion on that. Yeah. Who are some influencers that you guys follow, that you guys think are, solid or on point? I feel like Joel Davis is a good one. Keith Woods. It doesn't seem like there's as many. I guess it's come out that Bronze Age Pervert is a gay Jew. And I mean, that's probably old news to some of you guys. But there you go. More of that garbage. But there it is, like so long as you use the talking points, have suddenly out of nowhere you've got 100,000 followers, and everybody's like, oh wow, what's this? This is a new culture, it's a new thing, I want to be a part of it. And what do you know? And this is sort of a pattern that happens again and again. I feel like someone in our sphere needs to just drop some money, or maybe we could do a campaign or something to get that person up to a higher subscription level. And so that would, you know, lead people to their content rather than these other people that are part of the system, you know. One thing about doing comics is how important backgrounds are. And although they're a lot of work, they contribute to like the reality of the story, that they have to have a sort of, I always think of backgrounds as an architecture, etc., as another character in the story. That, you know, like for example, this guy's cabin, it's got this kind of homey quality to it. It's a part of him. It's an extension of who he is, and as such, you know, gives something to the story, gives a background to the story. Think about like any science fiction movie. You know, the environment of the movie, it's everything. You know, Dune or uh, Blade Runner and all that. You know, yeah. So you get the idea. But yeah, I bought Robert Suffer's Vril book. I kind of lost interest in it. I haven't finished reading it. I should, but I just, it's like, you know what? I know all this stuff. I've researched this already. So I'm like, ah, crap. I thought it was, if I'm buying a book, I'm getting something more than what you can find on the internet or on YouTube. That's not to say that it doesn't seem well researched, but it's kind of like, well, compared to the other guy that I'm reading, it's like Diet Coke or something. I don't drink Diet Coke. So. Actually, Diet Coke is nauseating as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, why? Just the thought of it. It's like, okay, if you're gonna drink Coke, drink Coke. You know, knowing that it's just this sugar shit, you know, and it's not good for you. But it's like alcohol. You know, you're gonna drink, and it's gonna hurt you. You know, like imagine if someone created like alcohol that's not alcoholic, you know, or whatever. It doesn't have any, you know, not fun alcohol or whatever. You know, that wouldn't. It's like you're kind of lying to yourself, you know. And I don't really drink anymore anyway, but it's another topic. Let's see if you guys are jamming away up there. Asha Logos, big fan. Let's see. I gotta go back here. Hey, Yiz! Good to see you. Awesome sauce. It's a party. Maybe we can talk some martial arts too. That'd be fun. Actually, Yiz, you and Luke Mason and I should do like a martial arts chat show. Not like every week, but like do one show on my channel or on your channel, whatever. I think it'd be fun. Okay, beautiful art, like always. Looking forward to having you on stream tomorrow. Woo! I'll admit I've been kind of shy about it because, like, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna perform well and be funny or something. And then finally, I was like, what the hell? You just shut up and go and do this. Whatever. Don't take yourself so seriously. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I urge everybody to subscribe to Yiz's channel. You can jump over there afterwards anytime. I'll also very much support the morning walks, morning talks, walks that she does. Very nice way to start your day, very inspiring. So Vertibox says, Asha Logos, Survive the Jive, and a few others are great historians for the Eurosphere. Perfectly said. Survive the Jive was supposed to come to a major Asatru event, and it looks like the government didn't allow him to fly in. Like there was some kind of, he was stopped from doing that. So that goes right back to that point about like whites organizing in any way, and you know, even though just ugly. I think Dave Martell did a show with him about that. Big Martell guy over here, so check that out. And Yiz did a show with Dave Martell not long ago on something. What was the topic, Yiz? It was literature, arts, something of that nature. No, it was you did a review of Krull, the movie Krull. Is it Krull? Really, really fun stream. You two, Yiz and Dave Martell, have like a very, very good chemistry. So quite good. I'd love to jump in on some of those sometime. So Asha Logos especially. Crusader says Aiden Paladin and Aristocratic Utensil are also good content creators. I have not heard of either. So this shows you like what a goofball I am. I'll look him up. Asha Logos is pretty good. Oh, has been, definitely. Vardabox says Sven Longshanks too has done really good history stuff. Imperial says New Frontier also does good work. Definitely like that. Where can I find them? I suppose you can probably just search them on YouTube, but maybe elsewhere. My channel says yes. Please do a comparison between Lafayette and Sefer. That seems to be the thing to do. Hold on a second. This is the Sefer book. I'm trying to research Vril, and this is the Lafayette book. So, it's funny when I read this book. I read it in Robert Sefer's voice. But it's just like for example, the first chapter was about UFOs, the kind of the history of UFOs and stuff, and I'm kind of like, well, that's, you know, the title is The Secrets of Vril, and it's related, you know, through her, but I'm like, you just wasted a whole chapter about something not Vril. And I was kind of miffed when I started the book off like that. It seems to be a slightly, like, more of a larger overview. I'm actually making notes in the book. Sorry for the shadows here. where I'll be, I'm making notes to myself saying, ignore the commercial, that, this is, debatable, or this is good, or what does that mean, or here's a good point. And, you just kind of see like I'm trying to, highlight little areas for my own research. One of the criticisms that I've gotten from people interested in this topic is that there's a book called The Coming Race, which is fictional. And I think somewhere out there in the zeitgeist, or whatever, the public mind, that the concept of Vril came from this fictional story, but it didn't, and that's something I want to kind of, according to my studies, that's not what it is. But there's still really a long way to go for me to figure it out. This, although is like extraordinary and mind-blowing book that I'm reading, is even still, it goes down a million rabbit holes. There's obviously like stuff here in like ancient languages and various related things. The bottom line is, what I'm looking for is how to practice Vril. Like, what is the methodology of Vril meditation? How do we tap that power? So I got a ways to go, but anyway, this is the guy right here, Maximilien de Lafayette. And this music is so sad. I'm gonna have to change it before I cry. It's so emotional. Alright, I think we're gonna have to do some jazz. Gonna pick it up a bit, please. How about some autumn jazz? Oh yeah. These like jazz stations or whatever, they're dependable, generally. I hope I know. Oh, no, keep going. All right. All there. Welcome to WKENT, the jazz station of Donald Kent. On today's show, we will be listening to the wonderful tunes of autumn jazz. Stay tuned for more art. Okay, I'm done with that. Yes, please do a comparison. Bear is here. They should make a martial art that is geared towards fighting off-street groids. 100%, my bro. I quick jump in here. I've done, God, 30 years of Kung Fu. I lived in Asia. I ran a sparring club for 9 years. My style is an amalgamation of about 7 different Kung Fu styles. Most people don't, they're not going to put that much time into it, but there's really quite a lot that you can do. So that maybe that would be an interesting topic for Yiz and Luke and I to have a show on. That's actually a pretty damn cool idea. Okay, Imperial Crusader, thoughts on Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. Well, I wish that I were. I mean, I love it. It's funny because I think Tolkien was anti-Hitler, and I'm not gonna really knock that per se, just because I feel that what could he possibly have known through the Churchill filter? You know what I'm saying? That's a very complex topic right there, so I shouldn't really try to go there. But I think that people like him and artists like myself, not that there's a comparison, we're trying to create a new mythology. For me, superheroes are American mythology. There is already Western mythology. You don't need to make a new mythology. We already have it, right? However, we're living in a paradigm, in a time of technological industrial growth that is so far past anything that our ancestors maybe could have even imagined, that, it seems to me that we need to have new myths and gods and small g heroes, for this time that we live in. And that is essentially what Militia Man will become at the end of this story. I'll tell you a secret here is that this is actually his father, but he doesn't know that. He knows that's his son. But the other thing is, this guy is an angel, or he's a kind of angel. So this is why, this sort of what the purpose of Militia Man's birth was to, transform into the demigod that he will become in order to vanquish demons from Earth. So I'm really like kind of giving away the ending of the story, but how you get to that ending is the cool part of the story. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, I guess that's kind of something intelligent I could say about Tolkien. I'm not like so much like a literary guy in the sense of like I know a lot about Tolkien that I can speak intelligently about him. I'm more capable of talking about the arts. I'm more capable of talking about the importance of the arts on like as I say, like sort of a shamanic or mythological level in society. I believe very strongly in that. So I hope this music doesn't make you feel like you're waiting in a doctor's office or something. They tell you to come in at this time, and then you end up waiting a half hour before they even see you. What the heck, man? See if I'm missing out anything in the convo here. You guys are cooking up here. Let's see, Lafayette, they should make martial arts, yes. I'll talk a little bit more on that topic in a second, actually, about martial arts. Lovecraft is American mythos. There you go. Excellent point, Will. Thank you for joining us. Monaghan Boy, there is a book about Tolkien called Tolkien, Europe, and Tradition. From Civilization to the Dawn of Imagination. Wow, that's a pretty big title. By Armand Berger, German author, and the Institute Iliad in France. It has been translated in many European languages. That sounds like a good read. Monaghan Boy, I've seen the book on Amazon. Looks at yes. So how do you? This is a big topic. How do you fight? I'm trying to find like what would be a good word to use for this demographic on this show, so that YouTube doesn't shut me down. Let's just say street gangs. How about that? So, number one, you don't want to be wherever they are. So, the best way to win a fight is not to be in a fight. Um, Not always possible. I was out in the city last night, went to a dance club, and frankly, it's not the greatest neighborhood. Um, but I know where to park, close to the club or what have you, and I do carry a weapon often. Um, but I also have my wits about me in terms of like, sort of looking around, sort of look before you leap, be aware of your surroundings is number one. You see a lot of people that, especially when they're going out, and you see all these clips of people in like New York City and stuff, and they're usually like sucker punched, or so there's two methods of let's do the groundwork here. So if it's one person that's attacking you, then okay, that's one area. If there's several, then that's a different kind of scenario, right, obviously. So let's start off with one person. So there's two ways that they're gonna try to attack you. One is to sucker punch you. They just kind of walking around acting like, minding their own business, and then out of nowhere, and you see this a lot in videos and what have you. So there's a couple things you can do. One is to look at, there's two sides to that too. If you're looking at the person, you're telling them, I'm aware of you. That could actually deter somebody in the sense of like, oh, well, I can't catch this person off guard. Of course, they can run back behind you, and I mean, they have all their sick methods of doing these things. The downside of that is that because these people are generally psychopaths, sometimes when you look at them, it's like looking at an animal, and the animal will take that as a threat. So you physically want to be away from them in one manner or another. In a lot of cases, if you can put something between you and them, if you're I don't know, whatever the objects are, if you're in a mall and there's like a bench, or you're on the street and you kind of walk behind a car that's parked, various things of this nature. I had a student try to attack me in class once, and he kind of leapt out of his chair, and he was walking briskly over to me in the middle of my class, and I used my foot to hook like the leg of a chair nearby, and I just pulled it out and in front of him, which kind of like made him stumble a bit. He had to stop so that and then with that situation, it sort of embarrassed him, and I was able to maneuver around and get out of the way, and for whatever reason he stopped. He didn't like continue his plan there. So these are things to think about. In the case of, frankly, you really just have to be armed a lot. If you're not, and you can't, and that's the thing or something or other, then I mean, there's a lot. When I say armed, I'm also talking about like non-lethal, like pepper spray is really, really good. I got some for my son. Have these things in your car, have them handy wherever. Large groups are really the real danger, and I'm very, very clear that like if I'm in public and I'm around these kind of people, then I'll keep my eye on it. I'll keep I'm aware, And I will actually, there's times when other whites will look at each other like, do you notice this? Or is this escalating? What's going on? And it's important to kind of have that little bit of like visual mental communication, if you will. Um, so if things start to heat up, let's say like I was in line at like a Subway to get some food, and then a gang of like teenagers came in, and they just started doing their usual zoo behavior, and I just got out of line and left. You know, I'm like, it's not, it's not worth it to be there to find out what happens. You know, you just have to know that this is the norm. This is what they want. It's a culture of cruelty. It's a culture of violence, and that they're looking for these kind of opportunities to do these things. They think it's funny. Number one thing to look for is that if somebody pulls a camera out, you better get the fuck out of there, like immediately, because that's the whole thing of it, is to capture video of their behavior. And you know even that just opens up another topic right there. So keep your eye out for that. Let's say no matter what, you've tried to avoid it, you've tried, but you can't. Now you're in the thick of it, and you gotta fight. You know. So one of the common understandings in the martial arts is that if you do have to fight multiple people, you're gonna, number one, you're gonna try to go for the leader and take that person out as quickly as you can, if possible. And I mean, there's so many variables to what I'm talking about here, but I'm just tossing out information. If you're not trained in anything that's pretty hard to beat people, it's really everybody should be training in something, or carrying some form of weapon that equalizes. Get focused here. So let's say you would want to put yourself in between, or rather put the opponents in front of each other. So you've got three guys and they're all facing you. So you go here. So now these two guys have to get through that guy to get to you. And you can kind of keep moving and positioning yourself in such a way that it's hard for all three of them to get at you at one time. That's one kind of method. Let's see. Gosh, there's a lot to say about this topic. Don't ever go to the ground if you have more than one person. I mean, I'm not a fan of ground fighting to begin with, but it's a death sentence if there's more than one person. So that's a massive no. Use the environment. Like I said, I was in what do you call it? Subway. So what do I have around me? I've got tables. I've got not much. Walls. A shelf with cups and Pepsi dispenser on it. What have I got? But wherever you are, try to look at your environment as a weapon. If you can throw somebody into the edge of a table, that can be extremely damaging to them, and it could cause enough injury for long enough for you to get the hell out of there. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I don't think people think of very much. I think about it like just normally. If I'm in X situation, I'll kind of think like, okay, there's a window over there. If I push them through the window, or there's there's a counter over there and it's got some pens on it. I could use the pen to stab. I know these are harsh things for the common person to think about. But when you've got, 3 to 10 feral savages that are absolutely frothing at the mouth to hurt you, then you have to see that they elected to get hurt. You see what I'm saying? When someone attacks you, they forfeit, in a sense, their rights. I don't know if that's legally true, but they, they've just opened themselves up for anything to happen. And you can't think of these things like a boxing match or like a MMA sport match. You have to think of it like, I'm gonna die if I don't do these things. This could be life and death. At the very minimum, you could be crippled for life. And like if they're able to knock you out, you think they're just gonna stop there? No, 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 no. You see where I'm going? So you can't allow yourself to be knocked out. And in fact, you have to knock them out. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's ugly. It's very, very harsh. There's very, very many books and videos and courses and all kinds of stuff out there on these topics. There's different approaches, I guess, to the thinking and the strategy of it. And there's a lot of disagreement about those things. And I can tell you my view on it. I wouldn't take my view as like the Bible truth on the matter. Listen to different people, see what you can learn. Some people believe that you should train yourself to go full savage, to like total berserker. Berserker mode, like killer instinct, that is what they call it. And my tradition is the opposite of that. It is to learn how to how to have complete calm of mind, and through the calm you're able to control yourself and the situation. People in the martial arts tend to be very, very like huffy about this stuff. They get into the very, very intense debates about it. I would say that largely comes from people that are making a living. They run schools and they have to defend their position on stuff. I don't run a school. I'm not, like, I don't have a dog in that fight, if you will, or what have you. In my view, if you want to be as in control of yourself as possible in these situations. And so that's where I believe that having mental equanimity is the answer, not, turning yourself into a raging lunatic or something. That's not to say that these people don't have fantastic skills and that they've trained the hell out of those skills, and that there's a type of, I don't know what to call it, it's not muscle memory, it's like if you practice some techniques of some kind, then that'll just come out of you instinctively. It's a sort of a neurological memory from practicing your martial arts techniques over and over and over and over. And the same occurs with me in my Kung Fu. My body is completely calibrated to move in a systematic way that, I just click into martial mode and I use all of those techniques, and the body just runs itself. Like I have conversations with the people I'm sparring because my body is so well calibrated into that like I can make jokes and just like be normal while my body is on autopilot. And part of the reason for that is what we call sensitivity training in Kung Fu. that your body is doing the listening for you. Uh, Granted, you know, you really shouldn't be having a conversation while you're sparring. You should be focused. But like, it's nice to get to a point where you can kind of, you know, have that liquidity. You know, that you're liquid enough and good enough at your what you do that you can kind of observe what you're doing. Anyway, I've been talking a lot. Let's check the chat. We got some new friends hanging out. Guys, remember to subscribe. Now, I hate to talk like that, but like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm doing all kinds of new shows, and you need to know when they're happening. So let's get back to the convo. What are you guys talking about up here? Looks, Wasp is here. Welcome, Wasp. That looks good. Give me a character for an edit. Give me a character for an edit. Do you mean... I'm not sure what you mean. Like, you're going to do a mashup or something? Like some kind of artwork kind of stuff? Maybe you can explain what you mean, but it's sort of like a splash page with some of the characters on them. It's kind of fun. Anyway, I want to check the chat here. The knockout game. Ugh, yeah, that's so disgusting. And now that whole thing where they steal Kia cars, I think, and just like smash them up and shit, that's just insane. Let's see. Monaghan Boy, I haven't read the book, oops, hold on. Aram, I hope I'm pronouncing your name. Welcome. It's nice to have you here. Welcome. Very, very happy to have you. Please subscribe. There's so much on my channel, tons of cool content to check out when you've got time. But what's super fun and cool is these chat sessions while I draw or ink, etc. You know, we get to kind of jam on different topics, and everybody's got something new to bring to the topic, so we all leave with maybe more information, more enrichment. So what else is going on? Vardabach, always look for an escape route. Huge point. Thank you for bringing that up. Excellent point. Bear says, hold on, you say you try to stay calm, but in the story you relayed last night, you said you were working yourself up and getting your cortisol levels sky high in prep, So, on purpose. So, this is a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that, Bear. Last night I talked about a story. Actually, you can go check out the video. It says, that time I almost got killed in the jungles of Thailand. And it was, for starters, I was really, really good at Shaolin Kung Fu, but only insofar as I was like highly athletic and I could do the forms really, really well. But I didn't, at that level in my studies, I didn't really know how to apply the Kung Fu. That's what the 9 years of sparring taught me how to do. So I was much younger, and you know, I just was in love with the Orientalism of Kung Fu and the culture of Kung Fu, all of that stuff. But I'll be honest, I can't say that I actually knew how to fight with it. And you know, you have to rectify that. That's a serious issue. If you're just doing forms and you know, you have power, but you don't know how to apply it. So, what else can I say? The huffing and stuff was not me trying intentionally to get like psyched up for the fight, you know, it wasn't that. It was that I was already in the huffy emotional state of like, okay, this is it, I'm gonna have to fight. I'm mentally getting, what's the word? I was getting prone for violence. I was, how do I put this? The answer is yes, I was getting psyched up. Half of it was because I was in a state of fear, and the other half was because I was trying to psych myself up to fight. You see what I'm saying? So the answer is yes, I was doing that at that time. However, I was much younger, much less experienced, much less knowledgeable. So after so many more years of studying with different teachers, different systems, I came across this approach, and I feel that it's superior. So that's me. Um, and I don't really. I'm not gonna like. I'm fine to listen to people's opinions on the matter, and I'm fine if people want to share like any kind of studies or data that show, you should psych yourself up to fight. It's just that my experience for 9 years of sparring is the opposite. So I think probably both work. I think you could, probably safely say that you could do this or you could do that. So, but it's a gamble because you're gambling with your life, and for my money, if I'm gonna be in that kind of danger, I want to be very, very, very mentally clear. And I guess it implies that if you're in berserker mode, you're not mentally clear. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe someone can show me. No, you're mentally clear, but you're just in a state of like, I don't know, sort of like a reptilian mind state, a fight or flight state. So in Kung Fu, and specifically the Kung Fu, well, that's not fair to say. There's all kinds of Kung Fu, but I have a kind of a crane Kung Fu and a snake Kung Fu philosophy. And the crane and the snake have, how do they fight in nature? How do they hunt? They fight, technically fight. But how do they hunt? Well, they stay very still, almost motionless, and then they strike with incredible speed. And so that has worked for me, like, consistently. And that's not to say that I don't move around when I'm sparring or something, but the mental stillness is the point. Your body is going to move and flow according to whatever the circumstances are. But what the point is of all this is to control the fear. Fear can be very, very blinding. It can be very, very harmful. And then on top of that, like, I'm not trying to get my point. That's an interesting ethical topic, and I'm sure it would play into the legal dimension of these things. It's a pretty interesting topic to think through. What I'm not gonna do is get into like arguments about it. It's like you believe, you do what you, and I'll do me, and there you go. And so it is, forevermore. It's like there's so many people that are trying to control your energy, that are trying to sap your energy, that are trying to influence you in ways that they think is right for you, but it's really just narcissism. And especially if you're paying somebody to teach you things, you trust them, you're expecting them to give you the knowledge, information that they're the so-called expert on. And there's wonderful, really, really great teachers out there. I've had a few. I've known some shysters. I've known some charlatans. And that's sad, but it's everywhere. It's part of life. I would say that like fighting a large group of people is probably the hardest thing there is to do. There's also another subject of like energy conservation. Like if you're, the longer you fight, the more exhausted you become, and then you lose focus, you lose power. It's a problem. So in the case where I'm just fighting, and when I say fight, I mean defending myself, because I don't pick fights, and I disavow anybody that does. I'm not. I hate violence. I severely hate violence. Um, like I said, the best way to win a fight is to not have the fight and not be there. But anyway, what was I saying? Okay, if it's one guy and I know that I can handle it, fair enough. There you go. But you know, if it's more than that and like a lot more, then I may have to kill somebody. You see what I'm saying? And because if it's a life and death situation, you're you have to live, right? You can't look at it like, well, I'm just gonna punch this guy and throw him to the ground, and then if you can run away, if you can avoid that, by all means and at all costs, avoid it. But you have to realize, like, these people are savage. They want to kill you, or they want to hurt you in such a way as that you are not gonna, you're not coming back in the way that you are. You might be in a wheelchair. There's just any number of things that could happen to you in that situation. So you kind of have to, you have to accept the fact that you might have to kill somebody in order to live. That is, and that's some hard and harsh reality. That's just not a thing you want. That's not a situation you want to be in. So that's why I'm always saying things like, get the hell out of there. Know what's going on. Know what's going on around you. Don't be there. Don't be in the situation. It is what it is. If we weren't forced to live in these environments where this was the situation, we wouldn't have these kind of problems. But pretty harsh stuff. Jazz and martial arts. All right, what are you guys talking about up here? I'm checking it out. Hold on. So you would have handled it a bit different. Makes sense. Yeah, I would have handled it like hugely different now. Can you cover the aspects of you're gonna have to tell me what these stand for, DEI and ESG in karate. I know Kung Fu. I am not a karate guy. I know about karate. I know a lot of people who've done it. So if you want to just tell me what that means, I will speak on it. My channel says, what's the best move when responding to the astronaut scientists from the seasoning police? I don't know. Let's move on. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Oh, okay. See, that's what I thought you were talking about, but that's not like a karate technique. So like, what are we talking about here? I think I'm sorry. You're speaking in code. So I'm not a karate guy. I can tell you what I know about it. Environment, social, and corporate governance. Yes. So, excuse me. Unfortunately, I can't speak favorably about karate because I'm not. It doesn't. What's the word? It doesn't work for me. I guess it's not. doesn't, there's things about it that just don't match my learning style or my philosophy. But I think with any martial art, like a lot of it has to do with how well you master it, how much you put into it. And you know, it's like I don't want to poo-poo karate. I just don't think that's like, you know, professional behavior. You know, ironically, you know, I lived in Japan. I love Japanese culture. I knew a bunch of karate guys, but I can't say there's a single Japanese martial art that I'm interested in learning. I think of Kempo as American. I don't know that it's. I don't think that we could say that that's like that's the only, like if I were to learn any new style, I would learn Kempo, and I would urge people to learn it. But once again, I'm not crazy about the culture of it. I'm not sure I'm answering your questions. I hope I'm not being irritating. So, what the thing with karate is that it's Japanese, and so in America, you most of the karate schools, and like maybe Yiz could talk about karate. I think that she studied it. She would have way more intelligent things to say about it. So, like I would defer to people who are knowledgeable and experienced in it rather than me. But the thing I need to say though is that when martial arts go from other countries to America, the tendency is to keep the cultural form of it. And, you know, in Japanese culture, they have, it's like, it's a class system. It's a very, very, like, complex class system with, you know, people who are older, people who are younger, people who are more experienced, higher up on the chain of command. There's all kinds of things. It's called senpai kohai. And part of what the belt system is a way to visually identify who has higher status in a karate school. We don't do that in America. You know, we're individualists, we're about freedom, and we just have a very different culture. So, like, my whole criticism of any kind of martial arts schools is to stop using Orientalism as a marketing tool, a sales tool, and just teach the useful stuff. You know, like if I teach someone Kung Fu, I'll say, like, by the end of the hour, you're gonna have some tools to defend yourself. Because, like, that's what this is about. It's not about me making money. It's not about my ego. It's about you going out there having some tools to defend yourself. That's it. So if you want to go deeper, you want to enjoy the culture, you want to read, you want to meditate, that's your prerogative. I did it. I loved it in Chinese martial arts. But so many of these schools depend, like, almost totally on, like, these kind of Asian cultural systems. And Americans get the illusion of power that, like, oh, I know karate. Like, for example, last summer I was at a outdoor event, and there was, like, the local karate school is coming to do a demonstration, and they had, like teenagers and some young adults that had all their fancy costumes, and they, had these, like, elaborate kind of like acrobatic shows that they did, and with weapons and shouting, and they had music in the background, and it was very visually, like, exciting, especially for people who don't know any martial arts. And so the school trained their students to be marketing monkeys, to do these kind of public performances to get more students, to train them to be more marketing monkeys. And I was disgusted by it. I was like mortified by it. And like, this is not martial arts. They might have a couple tools in there, but I wouldn't depend on that at all, to save me, And I found it like kind of like gross and offensive in a sense too. That like, I don't know. It's essentially cheating people. Is pretty much what I would say. What I would call it. Let's see. All right. I'm sorry. I gotta concentrate a little bit on this thing here. I've lost track of where we're going with this. So like, I'm not a karate person, so I can't really answer the question. I guess what I would say though is that what you see in the forms is not really entirely what they actually do. The forms have, you'll see punching, blocking, kicking, footwork, da da da. But in actual application, it's much more organic. And so it doesn't entirely look like the way that it looks when they're doing the forms. That is another aspect of it. For me, I just feel that karate is just really stiff. That's the thing I don't like about it. Environment, social, da da. I'm Mexican, deal with it. Welcome to the chat, my man. Welcome to my channel. Happy to have you here. Give me a random letter to make an edit. A letter? I'm not like the letter Q. How about that? Is that what you're saying? And how are you gonna edit it? I'm confused. Anyway, Faye is here. Oh my God, you're so talented. I love you. Thanks so much for saying that. Actually, that's a good topic as well. Like, what's the difference between talent and skill? So, as a former teacher, I can tell you that there's, it's known in the educational field that people are born with different learning styles. And so someone who's really good with, thinking or understanding the world in terms of numbers, they're going to be they're going to be great at math. Someone who understands the world through movement, they're going to be great at martial arts or dance. Someone who is really good with language could be a great speech maker or teacher or something. There's many kinds of kind of mental, emotional learning styles. Not many. There's a limited number, but anyway, that's a scientifically measurable thing. So I'm visually oriented, hence my art. That's what I do. That's who I am. And so there's a proclivity towards art, you see. But then there's like an emotional dimension to it, because all children draw, like all children around the world. It's just a normal human thing. But then we unlearn it as we go through school. School dumbs you down and, turns you into a kind of worker bee. So that's another topic. But then there is the work that you got to do. So the work is the actual. So like, for example, when I went to get my my undergrad degree in fine art, I'm telling you, I've done, I don't know if I could say thousands of hours, but certainly hundreds and hundreds of hours of drawing. And when I say drawing, I don't mean like dee 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 la 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 having fun. No, I mean fucking work. hard work drawing. And that's what an art education is supposed to be. It's not, oh, your feelings are so precious. No, it's, this technique. It was created in the Renaissance period. This is the science of light and shadow, and this is human anatomy. This is architecture. I could go on and on. The things that blah blah blah. So there's a huge amount of education and work to be done to get the skills. So where does talent come in all of that? Like, well, you're kind of born, to do a thing. I don't know. It's a mysterious thing. I'm not like I appreciate that your comment. It's a nice thing to say, but I as someone who's on the other side of the window, I frequently do kind of wonder about this, and I'm like, well, why is it that I can do this and other people can't? Or what is it about art that people think is so magical or important? I mean, some of those things I can kind of answer for myself, but there's a lot of work involved. That's pretty much what I'm saying. So, like, comics are an entire art form in and of itself. It's movies on paper. And in my view, comics are the hardest art form that exists. And, that could create some argument in like the art world, the art sphere. But you have to, you're a storyteller, you're a choreographer, you're a costume designer, you're a cameraman, you're an actor. You have to know, like, architecture. This is, mad amounts of skill involved in this, Honestly, I'm really just a frustrated filmmaker. If I had millions of dollars, I'd be making movies. But it's just not in the cards, guys. I have no idea what time it is right now. I'm taking my son out for dinner in a little bit. Oh God, it's 5:30. I gotta go, my friends. It is really, really great having you here. Let me quickly see. Hollandier shows up just as I'm leaving. Damn. But you're gonna have your own show tomorrow. Talent is natural, aptitude and potential. Skill is learning. Thank you. You just took that speech and put it into a few short words. So thank you. Gotta run, guys. Got an appointment. Love you all. Thank you so much for coming. So good to have some new people in my world. I've got 3 shows coming up tomorrow. Keep your eyes out for that. And I'm going to wish you all a wonderful night. God bless.